We're live.
Welcome, everyone. Okay. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Verbal Laxative. I'm Jason, and with me today we have Brian, Zinzin, Hassan, and Phil.
Hey everybody.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
I
Oh
guess, yeah,
shit.
this is our
I guess
first
we haven't done that yet.
2021.
New Year.
This is the first New Year episode.
Quite
Fans have been
belated.
waiting for it. We took a bit of a holiday break, I suppose.
Yeah.
We didn't even do a Christmas special like last year.
No. Unless you want to do it now. Halfway through the month.
People won't know, right? It's
They can
only
listen for
almost
the next
February.
Christmas. It'll be the same as if they listen to the next Christmas.
Did you actually talk about any Christmas stuff? I don't remember a Christmas episode.
We didn't have one, I don't think. Did we?
We had
I
a
thought-
Halloween one. I felt like we had a Christmas one.
What?
Did we not?
I don't remember a Christmas
I don't remember
episode.
Christmas.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I guess not then.
I don't
I
remember
was just
either.
gonna say, like, did we ever talk about anything Christmas related ever?
No, our last episode was like middle of December. And then when we went on break.
No Christmas theme whatsoever. Eh?
No. No, you don't wanna you have to you can't celebrate that
Pagan holiday.
pagan holiday. That pagan holiday that has been repurposed. You can't celebrate that. Say
Can't
Merry
or won't.
say Merry Christmas. Those are fighting words. Don't start your car the next day.
Huh. I've said that to a lot of people and started my car the next day.
Well,
Merry Christmas.
they only
Those
gotta
don't fight words.
you gotta get lucky every time. They just have to get lucky once.
That's very strange. I don't know what kind of Christmas traditions you do, but where I'm from, that's a very normal thing to say Merry Christmas and nothing bad happens.
Anyways, we actually didn't record last week when apparently the whole world freaked out over what's happening in America.
Aren't they still freaking out?
Yes, but in
there's-
true, our fashion, we are going to, I guess, talk about it now. We are the slowpoke of the
Isn't
podcasting
the
world.
FBI forecasting that there's going to be a huge fight at the Capitol between the Trump supporters and Biden's inauguration?
Yeah, so that's why it looks like they sent in like divisions of men to guard the inauguration.
Are they guarding? They seem like they're taking a nap, like having like a, sleepover kind of thing.
Oh,
They're all
that's
just
the
like,
thing. Well, on the day they won't be taking a nap.
This is their downtime before they hit up the front lines.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if nothing happens, it's just a big bait. It's just like the Trump supporters, like, oh, we got you. You guys are just standing here for no reason, other than to support Biden, I guess.
I loved all of it. It was great. If 2020 was a bad year, then 2021 this was a great start to the new year. It was hilarious just to see America lose their fucking minds over a bunch of hogs just bum rushing their Congress. I can't think of any more better of a Christmas gift. Even though it was a little bit late, it was a week late, but more than a week late. But this was a great Christmas gift and a happy New Year. I think 2021 is going to be great.
Should we explain to the audience, for those who don't know, what happened?
Why the fuck would we need to explain? They can just. I think everybody knows what the hell happened.
All right, fair enough.
You know
Did
what?
you-
You can explain. You can use your storytelling abilities to put it to good use.
Well, that day was supposed to be the day that Joe gets inaugurated, right? But they postponed it because of the protests, or why were they there? I guess I forgot.
Excellent summary. Anyway,
I just know they stormed the Capitol, but I didn't know why they were there to begin with.
you don't know why they were there. They're just angry. I don't
Well,
know.
Well, some people say that Trump tweeted and that incited the protest.
No, it wasn't just a tweet. He had a rally. He had a rally an hour before, and he basically said, "Yo, you got to go and show them what's up." So they went and showed them what's up.
What was his
So
words exactly? Were they legal words that you?
I'm paraphrasing here, but he just
Oh, okay.
said, "I'm gonna show him what's up." No, you see, that's the legal transcript was, "Yeah, go fuck them up, show them what's up." No, I don't. And then he got his Twitter ban, and then he became, and then he just cried. That was probably the biggest harm, the biggest insult to him. He
Do you
didn't
think
care about
That was
anything
the
else.
best.
He just needs his Twitter ban. But
He should have been banned so much longer ago.
I actually enjoy his Twitter. His Twitter is fucking hilarious. He is a master shit poster.
Well,
And
he is, but that makes so much stupid people, try to trust in his stupid words.
doesn't matter. This is the role of the troll, and he is the best one. He gets like what 30,000 people to bum rush the Capitol. That is like that is unprecedented in the profession of trolling.
That's true. He's accomplished more as a troll than any other troll could.
Yeah, he made the freaking president of the United States. That's but yeah, does way more harm than good. So glad he's
Do you think-
banned now.
Do you think
for
Twitter's
now,
a
at least.
trendsetter because they were the first to ban Trump, and then all the other social platforms follow suit?
No, I think it's just because he's mainly prominent in Twitter, and Twitter's like probably one of the biggest platforms right now.
I honestly think he did a lot for Twitter these past 4 years.
Yeah.
Like the Twitter traffic must have exploded ever since he got elected.
Did you listen to AOC's talk about this incident?
Which one?
How she, the one where she said how she felt threatened and how
Oh.
she can't really say much because of the security, and how she didn't trust certain Republicans because they were leading her to a spot where she could be in harm. That one.
Manchurian candidates. getting her, trapping her. They were working for the mob. Yo, if you were one of those people, I imagine you would be shit scared because it's a mob breaking it down. It will be the American Bastille Day. If you were someone definitely like AOC, where everybody knows your face, and those are the ones that would come and fuck you up, I would be scared too if I was her. Basically, they've painted her into Satan incarnate. So, as devout, most of them the mob were, I'm guessing very devout church-going folks. I would imagine that they would fight and bash the great Satan of AOC if they caught her. So if it was her, yeah, I would. You would be scared if you're a no-name congressman or congresswoman. Fucking put on a hat and leave. I don't think that was her option though. If they did break through, so yeah, for people like her, yeah, it would have been scary. If you were Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer, you would also be scared. But Nancy Pelosi is already a walking skeleton, and Chuck Schumer is most likely a robot, so it wouldn't have mattered. They fear nothing.
I guess the skeleton can't fear the dead.
You can't do more to the skeleton than what it already is. So Pelosi, Skeletor, would have been impervious to all of the attacks.
One of my friends, she dived in the deep hole, and she said that a lot of this is Russia causing it.
I love that. I love this. I love this rot. I love everything that's going on. Like this is what's so great about America. Like I view it as like just this movie that it's like it hasn't even peaked yet. It's just keep on going up. When Trump got elected, everybody was scared about Russian bots. So if you said anything, I guess the Clinton fans would say this is a bot, and now it's caused them brain cancer from that, and the cancer just grows even with Trump. So the entire country basically it's just rotted from the cranium. and I love all of this. Like like all of this is great. Like you don't even need the Onion anymore as a site. You could just it's just normal everyday whatever you get on the internet. That's already the best satire. Like the perfect chef's kiss.
So, after this incident, a lot of people were talking about Trump getting impeached. What's the point? Because by the time he gets impeached, he's out of the office anyways, right?
Oh, there's a spiteful,
He
yeah.
loses benefits, right? Doesn't he lose like the
I heard
payment and
that's not
Secret
true.
Service and stuff?
I heard that's not true. Like, yeah, there's a tweet that says something about him losing his pension and losing some certain travel benefits and like
That's only
Secret
if
Service benefits.
well, okay, so it goes to impeachment trial. Okay, they vote to impeach in the House, and then it has to go to impeachment trial in the Senate. And after that, they may even have to do another follow-up trial just to say if he's just to bar him from running or to keep him from the perks of being a past president, which would be like Secret Service protection and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't know if they'll do that.
Like, do they, because they control the House and Senate, will they even go through? Or is there a majority, like 2/3 majority they need from the Senate,
Yeah, you
which
need
is
it.
an unlikely
Yeah,
probability, I guess.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, this is mostly just for spite, because they made them all poo their pants because the mob bum rushed the Capitol Hill, right?
but then didn't Trump also what's the word? The one where he says, he was upset about the Capitol attack kind of thing, like he denounced them in a sense.
Yeah, because they took away
Did he,
his
though?
Twitter. They took away his Twitter. He has to say he needs his Twitter back. He needs it back. He's fiending
Is
for
that
it.
his way of an apology? I suppose you could say.
Okay, well, I think it's mostly like his people were saying, "Oh, you gotta put out some kind of statement to cool the temperature of everybody." And even then, he'll say, "Yeah, this is still a very unfair election. We got cheated, but please don't go around burning down Washington."
So, in the end, do you think this is going to have any long-term effects, or it's just?
Are you kidding me? This is great. Of course it's long-term effects. Why wouldn't it be long-term effects?
What long-term effects would there be?
Oh, I don't know. The collapse of the fucking country eventually. Like it's on track. If there's anything that was, if you're looking for like signs and indications, yeah, it's definitely on track. You could check that off. Fucking people that don't fucking believe that Joe Biden won because it's born out of a conspiracy. Basically, it has its roots in a conspiracy where like they thought a bunch of cabal of pedophiles were doing like high level pedophile stuff in the basement of a pizza fucking restaurant. Has now evolved to this. So like honestly, like I don't think you can look at this and be like, do you think, yeah, this is definitely going to be short term. No, this is, like, this is like the idiot squad that is basically, having its turn right now. Like, the people that bum rushed the Capitol, their only demand was literally just, yeah, we want Trump to be president. We don't believe that Joe Biden won. That's basically it, right? Like that's already the floodgates. These are the people that opened the floodgates. The fucking a bunch of chuds, right? And now, and including a guy that is literally dressed as if he was fucking what is he? The Q shaman. He was one of the first guys going in. Like this is the poster of the current uprising. So if these idiots can get through, yeah, eventually, because the country can't deal with all its problems that's rising up, once it's more like fucking serious problems arise, well, catch up. They're already there. Yeah, like this is the new normal. I think. It's just gonna be fucking people just fucking bum rushing all of the country's institutions. And it will keep going that way, and it's not like fucking Biden, like 120-year-old Joe, is gonna be able to do much of anything. So, yeah, long for the foreseeable future that this country's gonna exist. Maybe by the time we all retire and stuff, there won't be a United States anymore. And then the history books will be like, it started from.
So you're saying it's like Soviet Russia, or Soviet Union, sorry, and we just call them Russia.
Yeah.
Or what's their new name in the Olympics?
I don't know.
They're also not called Russia.
I don't know. They call themselves whatever after.
I miss the Olympics.
Do you think they'll
Kyrgyzstan.
have them
It's
in
been so long.
2021? Because that's when they postponed it, right?
It doesn't seem like it at this rate.
Probably wait. Let's wait all the way until the winter
But
ones.
then what happens?
Just skip the summer.
Can you propose? Do you just have summer, say 2022, and then winter 2023, and then summer 2024, and then winter? Like you have four.
That's
Like-
gonna screw up the schedule for like so many years, like decades.
Oh, will it?
Well, not necessarily. I guess they could do it that way and then just try to go back to the every other year kind of thing. But it just seems like they tried to rush these things, and that didn't work out.
It won't matter. It won't matter at all. They've postponed Olympics for many times.
I think they're still scheduled for July 2021. Like, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if it was online or on TV. I saw an ad or something about the Olympics.
Yo, the Olympics don't matter.
So
You think
They
that
have the summer ones
it won't
this
matter?
year.
Sure, it doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't. You think that you had the Olympics going on when like World War II was happening? It doesn't matter. This is whenever they resume it. This is whenever they resume it.
Man, why you're so against the Olympics though?
I'm not. I'm just like, okay, so what is the rule here? Like, it's like, oh, you can't have the Olympics because, like you gotta observe the every 4 year kind of thing. No, they don't care. They used to have winter and summer at the same time. The last time they had it was '88.
Yep, Seoul and Calgary.
Yeah. So nothing. Don't worry about it. If you are us, which we have nothing, we have no stakes in the Olympics. But yeah, there's nothing to worry about. If you're an athlete that was planning on going to 2020 in Tokyo, the one thing that will suck will be, it might not just be in Tokyo, or it will still be. It doesn't matter.
Speaking of Olympic athletes, wasn't there one that bum rushed the Capitol?
Yeah,
It was one of the U.S.
swimmer.
Olympic team. Yeah.
yeah, of the one that he won gold, I think, in 2004, 2008.
Wait, we're talking about Michael?
Oh, not Michael Phelps, one of his teammates.
Yeah, it was in like the relay or whatever. So he was one of the people. Like right now, it's very funny right now. Right now, the trend, the trendy thing right now is if you're online or whatever, it's basically to denounce everybody that did this. It's viewed as if they did like a heinous crime that
like a terrorism.
Yeah. They're literally trying to call these people terrorists, and like it's they're taking the outrage to like 200%, because literally the country's fragile. Like they can't fucking take it. I saw a tweet from some dude. I don't usually go on Twitter, but this one is worth mentioning. And he was basically saying, what was he saying? He's like, if the United States saw what was happening to the United States right now, the United States would invade the United States to liberate the United States or something like that.
Democracy to the United States.
Basically, because the United States does this to like a dick ton of other countries in the world. You name it. What, it was like a couple hundred, like.
Are you talking about like Guaido? That one?
Yes, Venezuela is one of them. But you can go down a list of countries, and pretty much 7 out of 10 times you will touch upon a country that was basically touched by America in this way, where it was either
Touched by.
yes, which either they had a direct hand at doing insurrections, riots, overthrowing of governments, doing it all in most of these countries in the world. And now just a bunch of fucking chuds born through the fires of Pizzagate, mind you, did it to themselves. They are freaking the fuck out. Literal karma is happening with the dumbest of peoples, and they are scrambling to get them labeled as fucking terrorists.
You agree with that label of domestic terrorism, or
I don't even care. I don't care.
is that exaggerated? Because if it had been anybody else, if it had been,
Listen, if there were a bunch of brown people, they were all they would all been shot. If it was a bunch of brown, exactly, brown people, black people,
slated as terrorists.
Yeah,
like there wouldn't be a second thought. There wouldn't be any discussion on it. There wouldn't be any. They would have been sniped or whatever, and it would just be like.
Oh yeah,
Little Hill would be like a field of red.
Yeah, it's a machine gun on the whole lot of them. They don't care. Like anybody that says otherwise, like fucking back then in the 70s when there was mass protests, especially from Black Panther people, they just straight up assassinated a bunch of them, right? Like actual leaders.
Wakandas?
Well, yeah, back then before Wakanda was a thing, right? Like before people staked their fucking hopes and aspirations of I don't know, some kind of race liberation on fucking Marvel movies and stuff. There was these parties, the Black Panther Party, a bunch of organizations, literally got their people just killed by either I was like Chicago PD or something, FBI, assassinated, right? Like, yeah, if on the 6th, if it was a bunch of people that weren't majority that, it wasn't just white people, but it was
so-called patriots,
Trump supporters, right? And visually, very visibly Trump supporters. If it wasn't those kind of people, if it was black people, brown people, yeah, they would be labeled terrorists, no problem. Shot on the spot, no problem. Fucking there was one woman that was shot on the spot. Times that by, 10, 100. If they weren't all...
Why didn't they shoot more? Was it that they were afraid they didn't have enough bullets?
The optics, it was kind of like that. The police, the Capitol Police were outnumbered. And whatever reason they were outnumbered, right?
A circling rush.
So you're worried that if you agitate the fucking Zerg rush, you will die. But also, it looks terrible. It looks bad. You're going to go to jail for murder at this point in time, right? But somehow, for some reason that we all probably are familiar with, you change the calculus. If you change the calculus, if you replace them with people that aren't, mainstream Republican Trump supporters, whatever, even if they're fucking Pizzagate people, you can imagine that there would be a lot more, first of all, security there, and a lot more fucking hammer, right? Hammer fucking down.
What was that talk about National Guards taking so long to get to the Capitol?
I don't know. It's just fucking. It is people were just. They didn't want to take responsibility for shit. Like if shit hit the fan, they didn't want to take that much responsibility for it. So.
I see.
Yeah, like it's literally a double standard. Like don't take any of the explanations at its face value, because it's not even that long ago they did mobilize the National Guard, right, for a bunch of protests that was happening in the U.S. Right?
You're talking about the Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. You got the even earlier protests before.
The Vietnam one.
The what?
Vietnam War.
The Vietnam War. Yeah, they definitely. The Vietnam War. The National Guard in the Vietnam War actually opened fire on a college campus, right, at Kent State. Like, yeah, they will do this stuff.
Weren't they?
No problem.
Weren't they all white then?
In where? At Kent State, yes, a lot of them were white. But, okay. It's basically they're a bunch of young hippies that don't know any better. So that was it, right? And
isn't that the same with Trump supporters? They're not young, but it's not like
they're not hippies, so they just don't know any better.
Exactly.
The funny thing is, there was more people that were saying like, why weren't there more security, and why weren't there more fucking use of force to stop them from uh spoiling our sacred capital, our
I heard
sacred
some of
Congress.
the police were double agents. They were leaving them in or telling them where to go.
Yeah, which is not that surprising because there's a lot of police that were big Trump supporters, right? Big Trump heads. A lot of them were
Mhm.
taking selfies. Some of them were leading them in, like you said.
Yeah, some of them are taking selfies.
Yeah.
And now they're being criminally charged for it,
Yeah, so
which is
everybody's losing their
hilarious.
minds over this,
Mhm.
which is just fucking like I said. It was great to watch all of it. It's like watching John Wick. It is when John Wick's dog gets killed, and then he goes on revenge to get fucking karma. This was kind of like that. This was a little bit of a like what was that word, Schadenfreude
I
release.
would first. Oh, I'll be the first to say I highly disagree with that. I'd rather watch John Wick than what's going on, because it's just way more entertaining.
Sure, but John Wick is fake, but this is real life. So I mean, like, the rush you'll get is sure you'll get the rush, but this one is real life. Real life, you get to see karma happening before your very eyes.
Um, I'll take your word for it. I would still kind of disagree with that, but okay. I won't go against it.
I think it's a bit scary trend though, right? Because it's like one thing that it happens in America, but like if it gets replicated, it would be crazy. Like if something happened in like Alberta, like this happening, that would just be insane too.
This happens already in a bunch of countries outside of West. Like I know the point you're making is if this happened in another Western country, it'd be scary. But you take it just if you just look out a little bit and then be like, okay, well, this does happen to a lot of countries, and it has happened in Western countries in the past too. I mean, like it's nothing. It's not like these are like untested waters, or it's like something's unprecedented, like they make it out in the news. It's happened before, and whatever. But it's just, I guess people now they can have a sense of, except this going forward, it's going to be a lot more heavier because maybe back then it'll be over something that really has no meat in it, but literally, well, not literally, but yeah, but it's much more substantially like meatier now. Like these aren't just whatever, just flare ups or anything. Like this is just how it's gonna be nowadays. So yeah, you can get scared, but you can find solace in the fact that fucking just this has already happened in a lot of places, and
But those places are not like the second most secure building
it's gonna
in like North America, right?
it's
Like
probably gonna get
they,
worse. Like all I'm saying is we're all fucking soft to this. You know, like everybody in North America is pretty much soft to this. You know, like
What do
it's
you mean
like
by soft?
it's like,
Like,
oh, you've never seen this before, you never experienced it, you're scared, you don't know, like it doesn't happen here.
oh, yeah.
But in a lot of the countries, it has happened. It has happened in their history. They can,
That's like a virginity thing. Then.
yes, we haven't popped our
Cherry.
insurrection cherries, and
Well,
America
not
just
we,
had it.
but America.
Yeah, I mean, like America had theirs popped very lightly. It was a very light pop on the 6th.
Do you think it could have been worse? That's what you're saying?
No, I think what happened on the 6th was basically that. I guess that was already, no one would have expected that too much happen.
What like what contained the riders? Like, did they just not been able to fight against the police that was there? Like,
Well,
because
yeah,
the arm took so long to get there. Like, did the rider just stop on their own? Like,
yeah, it's forced by force because like at that point they started like fucking they shot that woman, and then like well they got they I guess they sort of got cold feet as the farther you get into the Capitol Hill, the Congress building.
Oh, like they're like, oh, we didn't expect us to get this far, kind of thing.
Yeah, but also they also hid away most of the like the congressional reps, right, and the senators.
Yeah.
So you had people just fucking waltzing around and just taking selfies and like reading, like taking the mail of.
I thought they'd be like, start looting more. Like, I mean, there's the one guy looting Pelosi's podium. But I thought they would loot more or set things on fire.
It's literally pointing to they didn't really have a plan. They just like, holy shit, we actually got in. Now what do we do?
Exactly. I think they were as surprised as everyone else that they got in.
Yeah, there's even they were surprised they got in, right? So like it wasn't like could have been worse. It was already no one was expecting this would happen on the 6th.
Yeah, I guess they kind of felt innocent. They were like, I didn't know we were going to get this far.
Yeah, who knew the fucking Capitol Police would just melt right there?
Yeah, you would think.
But they
you
did.
Would think this is
right. But going forward, the prediction that I've always held true was it's gonna get way worse, and it's just this one was a surprising one because I thought, and most people thought, oh, you're not there yet, right? Well, at the very least, a bunch of fucking guys. A bunch of fucking MAGA hogs weren't going to just successfully break through into the Capitol, right? But okay, well, they did it.
Plan. Like they had no plan. It was basically January 6th, like the events of January 6th were like the plot of a Michael Bay movie. It was just going forward, but there was no end game. Like they got there and then they're like, oh well, they got inside and then it's like, well, I guess in their minds they thought that we are going to do some yelling and everybody else is going to be cowering and they'll be like, oh yeah, sure, you're right. Trump is the president.
Yeah. Make him the president. Okay, you guys win.
The best would have been after they said that, they were like, make Ohio right again. We need that prophecy to be 100%.
Then we'll know who was behind this protest. It was 100% because of you. Only you. Only you would be the one that cares about that. Overturning that. It's okay though. I wouldn't report you to the authorities.
The funniest that day for me is them trying to climb that wall when there's like stairs on either side. If they had just gone like 20, 30 feet to either side.
Yo, but it looks fucking awesome, especially if it was like a movie
They
scene.
were their mindset was a Michael Bay movie. Just like, how the hell do we make this shit look cool? In their minds, they thought they were the heroes of some kind of totally, hardcore American action flick.
It's their version of storming the Bastille.
Patriots.
Yeah.
They were the heroes, and they had to get the right pictures for that too. Like, we can't climb the stairs, even though they're nearby, even though they're 20 feet on either side or 30 feet on either side. We're gonna go up the wall so it looks like we're fucking storming.
They got lost in the moment. They got the confidence that you get when you're like doing cocaine. When you're just fucking in the zone and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking scale that wall.
Well,
It's like they will get a better chance, right?
Yeah, when else are you gonna get the chance?
Yeah, they gotta show what they're made of. They're hardcore badasses.
And talking about like scenes and stuff, like how they brought in the Confederate flag, like the furthest the Confederate flag ever made it to the Capitol.
Yeah,
that was amazing.
And I love how people were just losing their minds over that too, right? Like fucking
well, that guy's getting charged.
Some hick brings the Confederate flag in, and they're like, "This is a foreshadowing."
Some Canadians made it there too.
Yeah,
there was a Canadian flag, and then I read something about a couple of Canadian nurses being investigated because they were there or something like that.
They were there?
Well, they were there, like they were part of it.
Yeah. What they didn't know and what they were stupid in doing all the
they're
fucking
because they're Canadian and they were there. Or
no, because they set foot into the fucking Capitol building.
It's like trespassing to Area 51.
As long as the reason they were investigated more than like anyone else was just because they were Canadian.
I think anyone who was there.
No, not because they're Canadian. It was just as surprising to me that there was actually Canadians there. That's all. But they're being investigated on the same thing. Like the basic charge for everybody is trespassing.
So was this kind of like what you wanted when they had a Facebook group trying to storm Area 51 with the Naruto run. Is this like it's almost the same idea, right? But this actually happened.
No, it's not the same idea. That one was just basically, hey, let's do this fucking let's just do this thing because it sounds cool, like fucking Storm Area 1 Naruto running. This one was literally because they were so salty they couldn't stand like Trump losing the election. That was it. Literally, all of them that were there that day. Literally, the only reason that they even bum rushed the Capitol was because they said, "I don't want it. I don't want this reality. Give me Trump as another 4 years." That was literally the only reason why they all did it. One reason that brought them all there, and in the darkness binds them.
So I guess you're saying that Naruto's not enough of a reason.
No,
That's
not
why
even
it
the
didn't
same.
happen.
That is like a fucking
Naruto
novelty.
wasn't even
But-
the reason they did that.
But if Trump had tweeted saying aliens exist, we gotta stand for this Naruto run Area 51.
Sure. You can tweet whatever
That
they
would-
want. Literally, all these people, like, have you ever gotten into, like, QAnon lore? Like, these
QAnon
people...
lore?
Yeah, QAnon lore. Like, literally, people believe, like...
I don't even know why they're called QAnon.
Because it started from, like, QAnon. Like, he would... The QAnon accounts would, like, give, like, little tidbits of clues and stuff, right? About
The
saying...
person?
Well, it was an account, or it was, like... No one knows who the fuck Q is, but... You know, like, this Q
it's
account...
like a red account.
Yeah, would give like coded messages and clues, and everybody would fucking get in on it and say, "Oh, you know, like deep state stuff." There's a whole cabal of pedophiles that run everything, and literally their lore, one of their mainstream lores, was that you know there's a bunch of these celebrities or politicians that were against Trump or whatever. Well, they've been killed. And what you see now is actually a clone of them just acting out their lives because the real one is already... Like, these people believe that, right?
Oh my god, it makes so much sense now.
So,
Wait, is that the same people who don't believe birds are real and their government, like, surveillance?
fuck, I don't know, probably. Like, this the same people, like 5G and all that shit that has caused coronavirus and whatever. It's all, like, within, like, the big umbrella branch of, like, this... lore. Just people fucking have lost their minds, right? And the most hardcore of them that are hardcore QAnon people, like, they believed that before. So obviously it's not even a stretch to think that, oh, they really did steal the election. Oh, we have to go and fight them, right? By, you know, fucking breaking in, taking selfies and shit. But what was I saying? Well, what was the original thing we were talking about? I forget.
Don't ask me. I barely
I
pay
forget.
attention.
But anyways, I mean, like, this is... this is not like the Area 51 thing. This is just people just are angry that they didn't get what they want. And,
Well, I mean, I agree that the reason why they did it is different than Area 51, but it's like, I guess the idea of like breaking into somewhere you don't belong is reminiscent of the Area 51 meme, I suppose. Like, but anyways, like right now in current times, we're talking about. I heard there's a lot of airlines that are denying flights to the capital, like Washington D.C.
Yep.
And telling people do not come to.
Well,
DC,
they denied a bunch of those people after the day. They denied a bunch of them. They put them on no-fly lists, right?
Well,
because they're elevating.
Consider terrorists now.
They're elevating people to, I guess, the status of terrorist, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want to, you know, which I don't fucking like. Some of these organizations are fucking full of fucking dumbass pieces of shit. Like fucking they want to make Proud Boys into a terrorist organization. Fucking go ahead. I don't give a shit. They like. I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, they're going to. I don't care. There's a bunch of all shithead, fucking dick eating. You know, like.
So
fucking
you felt
morons.
like that's a just punishment?
I don't
For
care.
them,
To me, there's no point in going along with some of these things, right? Like fucking this is already a big deal because of, you know, fucking because they make it into a big deal. Like fucking terrorism before 9/11, you know, like if it was just another fucking It's just another average tier for fucking villains or whatever, bad guys that they want to label. Now it's become, ever since then, it's become this one thing. Like before, it would be before when the Soviet Union was there, communist was the bad word. In the 50s, if you were like a communist, like they did the witch hunts, the McCarthyist witch hunts, right? And like you'd either lose your jobs and all that, you go to jail or whatever during the height of it. Even like executions weren't like fucking taboo for that, right? But fucking it dies down because like people can see like that's a bullshit kind of threat. 9/11 happens, terrorists are the number one thing, and then what you see from that is a lot of people get just caught in the exaggeration of it. But you remember people didn't even allow you to say bomb at the airport, or you would.
I thought it was
like,
Jack. You couldn't
whatever.
say hello to Jack.
Fucking candle Jack.
So
Like you can't
have,
say hi, Jack.
what if
Remember-
the person's name's Jack?
You remember like
But you can't say
TSA?
hi to him.
Well, whatever.
Say the word hi.
Yo, candle Jack is an old ass meme. It does. Who cares?
I don't even remember hearing that before.
Hi, Jack. Oh, okay.
No, like just saying. Were you saying hi Jack, like the term, or like
Oh,
just the name
hi Jack. Jesus.
I thought you were just saying you can't say Jack.
I never heard that. I thought you were talking about like the candle Jack meme, where it's like, oh, if you say candle Jack, you get like kidnapped.
Oh, I never heard of the candle Jack meme.
That's a old 4chan thing. But anyways, yeah, like it was super hypersensitive, right? Like, and terrorism became a hypersensitive word, and it also became a justification for things too.
So
like,
you think Trump supporter would be a sensitive word?
well,
the
it
near
is.
future?
Well, no, it kind of is right now, but it's not like it's a new thing. They're just being labeled as terrorists, insurrectionists, basically, right? That's the main
I
thing
feel
that's
like-
going on.
I feel like that's the problem because, like, when people were spreading COVID, like in grocery stores, like coughing on products,
yeah.
and they arrested them, and they're like, they call it a terrorist act. I feel like the whole terrorist thing hasn't left. It's still popular.
Yeah, a
label
bunch
these
of these
people.
terms, they just became its own thing. Like terrorism is a big one. Like you call someone like terrorist is basically, like a label. Like you basically say whoever's a terrorist, like that is a person that will
But
that
it
no one will
loses
care
its
if they die.
meaning.
Well, no, it does. If
Well,
you
it
label
lost
someone a
its original
terrorist, look, if you label someone a terrorist, like they can die, and it's not considered murder. Like that's what the term has become useful for people that want to use
Sure,
it.
but
It's
like,
become
I feel
like
like
that.
it lost its original meaning, like where you call someone a hippie, or hippie used to stand for something, but now it's been used so often that it's just like, what is the original word of hippie, or what does it mean? Like terrorist is, I feel like that's the same idea. Because like people who are you live
Exactly.
in that country, like U.S., and you're being called a terrorist, like I feel like that's misuse of the word.
Well, exactly. These chuds aren't fucking terrorists, just as much as, like a fucking, just a brown person taking a flight is not a terrorist, right? But it's a charged term, right? It has become a charged term. That's why I say I don't fucking care. I don't care. Like, you can call whoever that you want. They want to label someone, a whole group of terrorists, whatever. Like, that, it's just the country going down into the fucking shitter. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna even do? Like, if you disagreed with them calling some group of terrorists, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? There's nothing you can do about it anyway, so you might as well just fucking live with it.
Like embrace it, or just
What can you do? Like, what can you actually do? If you said I don't agree with this, okay, then what? Right? So it's no use like fucking mauling over these things. It's just the way it's gonna be. They're going into a death spiral. They're going to fucking, find targets to exact violence upon.
yeah, I guess so.
I mean, like, yeah, they're gonna label more of these fucking people just fucking terrorists, insurrectionists. You've already seen them go super sensitive to anybody that, like this is the new taboo. This is the new untouchables, where it's like if you're American, and like like the trend thing right now is to basically ostracize people that went to this protest or whatever, right?
If they don't bring swift justice, if they don't go to the any extreme justice as far as they can take it. They're just opening the door for more shit like this to happen. If these guys get off with just, oh, you're on the no-fly list, or you're, uh,
Yeah, but
yeah,
here
your state or some shit like that, that doesn't
but here's the thing,
your
right? It's
body.
not like
They're just gonna be like, let's do it again the next time the occasion arises.
here's the
It's
thing
not.
though. Here's the thing. You punish these people. It's not like you're gonna stop this kind of. It's not gonna like you're gonna stop this from happening again, right? It's going to happen again. Like it's a foregone conclusion. Like it's not. It might not even be from the same group of people. It's not gonna be from a bunch of fucking idiots and morons that just want the election overturned, right? It's going to be from people that are just basically disenfranchised just from society. Like more and more is going to be like that. And what this really is just like what the people in power are afraid of is just that this is they're afraid that these people actually fucking, like disrespected them in storming the Capitol. And you can see it in most of the wording too. Like this, like this is an attack on the democracy. This is an attack on sacred institutions, right? Like they see it as that. Like the worst thing that these guys did was literally by storming the Capitol, it was attacking institutions and authority, right? And obviously they're going to make an example out of these people because they did that. But even if you don't, even if these aren't the people that will be in the future, agitations and shit, like, what are you gonna do when like more of the country does that, and it's not just from Trump supporters? What if the next time it's from fucking, workers and shit, right? What happens if it's like the 1918 whatever bonus army? It's just like past military veterans that fucking camp outside the Capitol, right? What if they start to bum rush? Right? What if it's like all them plus workers plus everybody, like hundreds of million people? Like, what are you gonna do then? Right? So, I mean, like, for them, for the people in power, what they are afraid of most is that now that people aren't satisfied by, you can't placate them by either an election or just words on TV or whatever, right? People, when they get to a point of desperation, they're going to get to a point where they say, you know what, I can't change my situation in life or my station by any other means except directly through violence, through storming the Capitol, through storming the White House, through fucking just taking up action like that. That's what they're deathly afraid of, right? And that's where the fear, like what Phil was saying about the fear, that's the real fear for the people in power, right? But what they want to do, and what most of them will say, like, it's not an attack on them or whatever, it's an attack on all of us living in democracy, on, like everything that you hold and treasure dear or whatever. So they're saying you should be afraid as well, right? But the contradiction is, it's very much possible that it's not that you should be afraid. You might be the person storming the fucking Capitol next time, decades down the road, right? So that's where this whole thing is, the seriousness of the whole thing, but at the same time, the fucking hilarity of the whole thing.
That's why the first thing Biden's doing is giving money to everybody. You gotta quell the people.
Wait, did Trump not give money in yet? Has he not approved anything?
He can't.
He gave in the past, but if you like kind of zoom out at this and view it like as a game, you just have like a bunch of the population's disgruntled, and you have to satisfy them for somehow, right? So Biden has to do it as quickly as possible, and usually that's just like just give them cash, like just pay them off, satisfy them for a time, but there are long-term consequences to it, right? It's not free, but like, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? You gotta satisfy the mob first.
Well, you know what? Like, Trump was with some of the more radical parts of the Democratic Party that, like, Bernie Sanders wanted to give everybody $2,000. Trump also wanted to kind of give everybody $2,000. What they settled for in the end was $600, and that's why you got that whole thing where people were pissed off because like what can you do for $600? Like the Democrats voted in were like, and the Republicans, the last stimulus bill they voted in was basically just diluted all the way down to $600. And in that bill itself, and also they fucking loaded it with other shit that had nothing to do with it, but it's just for passing a bill. Like selling weapons to Israel was added on the same bill. The bill that was supposed to give everybody $600 also added on stuff that says we're gonna like sell whatever weapon systems to Israel on attached to the same bill. So literally, there's just people in power are just taking a shit down the throats of people, right? And the funny thing is, Trump, Sanders, and you know, for different reasons, they wanted to give everybody $2,000 instead. So it's a clusterfuck. You can't make sense of it because there's no sense to be made. It's just literally just people are just doing whatever they want if they have the power to do whatever they want. They don't care about the fucking money implications because no matter how you slice it, the stimulus that they give out to people, $600, even if it's $2,000, pales in comparison to the stimulus they use to inject money into finances and stock markets and the fucking Fortune 500 companies that it's a fraction of it. So it's not like you give everybody $2,000, oh fuck, you've opened a Pandora's box. That's already a fraction of the main stimulus they always use when they inject it into the economy.
That's a Bernie argument.
But is it not? Wait, regardless if it was a Bernie argument or
I
not.
know. I think I agree. I think it's true. I think that's the consensus. I mean, it's pretty like apparent, right? I don't know who is not aware of it, but it seems like they just get away with it. I mean, it happens in Canada too. It happens all over the world.
Get away with what? Just giving money to rich people?
Yeah, giving money to rich people, tax cuts for the wealthy corporations, and they make the middle class pay for it. It's like, you know.
Oh, that's how they got rich.
You ask you don't know how they get away with it. Well, eventually they're not going to get away with it because you're going to get people brushing the Capitol. You know, that's how it works.
I think they'll get away with it.
Still getting away with it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. We can only. Most people can only say what they experience now, right? They can only frame everything in the now.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
But eventually, that's where it's going. Like, what you think, like, before January 6th, you had basically 350 million Americans that thought something like this would never, ever happen to America. And nobody had bothered to ask the question, well, most of them, why? Why wouldn't it happen? What's stopping it from happening?
Well, you're saying that the Nauru 151 thing can happen now because they had the capital rush.
So on that note, I think we are gonna look back, and it's gonna be interesting to see if there was like an inception point where like somebody put like the idea out there for this to like sprout out, and maybe they did this many times for experiments. Because I feel like this year there's so many groups that just do crazy crap together, and it just feels like there's like it just seems like groups are being manipulated into doing and being organized into doing something crazy like this. Because even like running to Area 51, thousands of people went, right? That's just crazy to me that would
I
ever
think there was
happen.
like 1 million some people on that Facebook group page, but it was a fraction that actually went there. But most people just got turned away who went there, or I don't think many attempted it. There may have been like one or two.
Any would be crazy. That's just a crazy idea. And then like storming Washington D.C. That's just unheard of.
I think we're talking about because it was successful. If they couldn't get in, then we wouldn't really be talking. That's the other part too.
Well, it's because everything around you has made it into a big deal. Like the news and everything has made it into a big, which it's not a small fucking matter, of course, but you know, like it's kind of tough to fucking ignore this stuff when it's all around you like 24/7, right?
really the only difference between this and like 9/11 is the death, right? The impact is gonna be just as severe.
How many, it was
Because
like,
like
how many deaths was there? Like a handful? Was
for
that?
this one, yeah.
For this one, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a handful.
It was just handful, but like the whole perception of like what could happen, it just like changed in that moment, it felt.
Yeah,
Oh, like what's possible
yeah.
kind of
Well,
thing.
yeah. Well, you're
Yeah.
right about that
And
because
being like a public figure, like your life is now like realistically very much in danger. Like
I
everyone,
mean,
everywhere.
yeah, that was the thing that's similar to 9/11, where it's like previously you have this thought where you're invulnerable and you can't be touched. Nothing like this can ever happen. That's and then like these things. That's the similarity it shares with 9/11. Like something that you thought you were previously untouchable in, you got touched. You know, that's the similarities between these two.
so are people not going to be able to bring bottled water to the Capitol? Similar to how we can't bring bottled water on the airplane.
No, who cares about
Uh,
bottled water?
no, I
it's not
think
the same.
more like people are gonna be afraid to
Smell.
run for public service. Like being a mayor is dangerous now. Like being a governor is potentially dangerous, right? Or more so. I always thought like those positions like it was pretty neutral, but now it seems I
Oh,
don't know.
like it
Maybe
has the
Nenshi
same
like
occupation cause, occupation
occupational
hazard as a
hazard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't know. I never thought like Nenshi would be in danger. Like, but maybe after this, like people see
Oh,
the idea that
well,
he,
you would only hope
yeah.
that they bought life insurance before they became public servants. That way, they're still covered. Like Jackie Chan is not covered because he's too dangerous. His life is too dangerous.
Can he
Well,
afford
when
the
he was acting.
premiums?
Exactly. But if you bought it before you became that possession,
Yo, they would fucking drop you as a client.
no, they can't. It's in the contract. Like you can buy life insurance and then become a skydiving instructor, and they still have to pay out because you bought it before you're a skydiving instructor. But if you're a skydiving instructor, you couldn't really buy it because they would deem you too risky.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
That's like going that.
So, anyways, what I'm saying is, if you work for the government, you should buy life insurance prior to working for the government.
This is one guy that writes on Medium. He's from Sri Lanka. But he was writing like, well, he was fucking laughing at what was happening as well. But he kind of gave a warning where it's like, like because the country is so fucked up, eventually it's not that unforeseen that you're gonna have a lot more like IRA style attacks or something like, or even the terrorist attack that they used to have in Sri Lanka back then, when the Tamil Tigers had a lot of power there. But basically, like he described what life was like for him in the 90s or whatever, growing up in Sri Lanka, where it's like you would carry on life normally, you do everything normally, but then it's just you have more instances where it's like, oh, a fucking mall got blown up, or the mayor got killed in a fucking drive-by or whatever, right? But it's like he's literally like he remembers that time where it's like you go clubbing, right? Fucking, but like weeks later, you find out the same club's been like blown up or some shit, like, and then you just keep on going. You get up, you eat breakfast,
So it
go to
just
work
sounds
at the
like you
same
become
time.
numb to the experience.
You do.
Like,
He's basically saying you
ah.
become numb, but he's also saying like because like once you get there, it's not like some big announcement like, oh, we're entering terrorism now, right? It's just you still live life normally, but then you just get a lot more of these things in the background, right? And as long as you're not affected, as long as you're not caught in one of those attacks or whatever, it feels like life is normal or whatever, right? So he's basically what his point was you're not gonna get like a fucking bullhorn or an announcement or anything that will say like you have entered a reign of terror. It'll just fucking happen or whatever like that,
so
And
it's just a Tuesday.
the thing that will scare most people, rightfully so, is it's possible that like maybe 10 years down the line, or like like I always say, the contradictions in society, as they get worse, you're gonna get some stuff like that. Like recently there was a guy that fucking blew up a car bomb in Nashville, right? He did it in a way where it's like when nobody was around, and he fucking parked it outside. It was like a telecoms whatever building, and he just blew it up there, whatever. But it's like it's totally not fucking far-fetched to see, like, if fucking things even go worse, you're gonna get a lot more of that stuff in USA, like how Britain had during like the Irish troubles, right? And like chuds rushing the fucking Congress. It's one of those things that kind of like says, like the water's boiling. You can see the frothing and the bubbles. Like, maybe it may come down to that before like fucking society collapses and shit.
But like you said, it happened to a lot of other countries, and they're still running. So
it's
yeah,
very
but-
important to look at what context they kind of are running at. Like a lot of these South American countries, it's not like it's over, right? They're still going through the same shit, right? Iraq, Afghanistan to this day is still like that. China, Russia, they had their near scary moments as well. But like it's not like you just have to like fucking weather the storm and come through with it. What you gotta do is you gotta fucking do some serious like national chemo, right? To basically just deal with the problem like aggressively, right? And only then you can say like, oh, you can look at any kind of like, oh, life returns to normal or whatever, right?
Are you saying that January 6th could possibly be the day or the beginning of the United States' descent towards becoming a third world country?
I think no, because if you know me at all, I would say that's already happened way before then, right? I always say they're already basically a third world country. Like functionally wise, they are a third world country nowadays, right? Like, but what all this did was just a bunch of people that were drinking the Kool-Aid. They can't just keep on drinking the Kool-Aid, and like without fucking realizing some shit like that. That's all that this happened. That this resulted in. Whereas like, oh, before, we're totally exceptional. This would never happen to us. Well, it just happened to you. So now it's like you just gotta cope with that. That's the significance of that day, right? I mean, like it's a joke. I'm fucking like it's a satire when I say it's the American Bastille Day, because on Bastille Day in France, fucking like everything was upended, right? This is just like I said, a bunch of guys that just wanted Donald Trump to be president. They had a chub for Donald Trump. This is not anywhere close to the Bastille Day, but they still stormed the Capitol. So like you can't sit back and say, oh yeah, everything's fucking fine, right? It's like that meme where the whole house is on fire and the cartoon dog's like, yeah, this is okay, this is completely fine. That's
I think
that's the
the big
watermark.
difference is like, again, they weren't. It wasn't their intention. They didn't think they would get that far, right? It just kind of happened to them, right? Or that's my impression.
I don't think you can group them all together too, because like if you look at it, it seems like there are different groups of people that stormed that day for their own reasons. Like some of them were like very organized, clearly like militarily trained men, and some were just like, regular Joe. Like
I feel like some of them is like a novelty. It's like, shit, I've never been to the Capitol.
Yeah, you know what? It
yeah,
would've been-
definitely. Like I'm gonna take a picture. Like, hi, mom. It's like I'm just chilling here. And then other people are like there with like flashbangs and like machine guns. They like definitely like different groups.
Interesting.
The dude who took the podium just clearly looks like he got like overcome by the mob and just went
Well, his
along
name
with
is,
them.
his
That's
name
what
is
he
Adam
looks like
Johnson.
in the picture.
They look like
I know.
he's having a fucking party. He's having a great time.
That guy, yeah, he was having a good time. His name was Adam Johnson, and his
There is,
defense
like,
lawyer.
A
trying
mob
to defend.
mentality too, right? Like when like the mob gets going like that, everyone like feeds on each other and like people
Oh,
get
you're
crazy.
talking
Like
about the hive mind idea.
yeah, the
It's
hive
like
mind. Yeah.
crowd mentality.
Yeah, so they just had to get a lot of people there, but like the organized people seem to have been there for different. Like they must have been there for their own reasons because they're so organized. Why are they there if they're just like taking pictures? Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, this is not like, yeah, this is not like some fucking deep conspiracy why they stormed the fucking. It just fucking happened,
Do you
and
think you would be caught? Like if you were you were at the Capitol and it happened to be stormed, would you be like, oh, the doors are open, I should go in? Like, like would you be caught by the mob, by the crowd? Like, would you be like, caught
probably
by the
not,
mob?
man. Like, yeah, if you're going there for curiosity's sake, it's not like because when they rushed in, it was a very messy affair. So if you're just there for curiosity alone, it's
No, I think I
not
would.
really like. Okay, you would.
I would,
Most
because like think of an event that you really would want to go to. Like you really want to go to this event, right? Forget the reason, but you're just there. Like I want to watch Backstreet Boys or some nonsense like that. And then you arrive there with like your cooler, you're ready to get tailgate, and your group of friends like, hey yo, everyone's gonna go in back door, VIP, let's go. You'd be like, oh man,
Yeah, buddy.
man.
Except this wasn't a concert. This is more like a fucking car accident, right? You don't see.
Well, that's like yeah, your expectations, right? Some of these guys probably thought they were just gonna go there and just like protest, and then they're like, "Hey, we got a way in."
Well,
I
in this
think
case, there's a lot more of known risks because you're gonna get, well, not gonna, but there's a chance you're gonna get shot. Whereas it's like if it's a Backstreet Boys concert or something, there's security. Maybe they'll beat you down, but at least you're not gonna get shot.
Yeah, man. If you were surging into the crowd to go against the police barrier and shit, if you're just there solely out of curiosity, like you just saw a mob of people rushing in and you
oh
wanted to take part, you're not gonna stay much for that after. People that wanted
yeah,
to go in, they were fucking just diehard fans of
I
Trump.
think
They
the
wanted to
crazy
go in.
goes first for sure. But like I'm talking like an hour in, and then you're sitting there and you see people run in, and you're like, okay, there's a lot of people that's going in.
Yeah, but you were
I
there.
can
Like,
see what
Take
you mean
over.
for like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. I could do this, and I could
Yeah.
tell stories about it. But I think it might be a different case for a lot of people where they're actually in that situation and it's potentially life threatening. That maybe they actually won't do it.
yeah, if you're staying there and going in, and it was because you were already there at the protest to try to reinstate Trump to the presidency. Like
Oh,
it's very you're not getting bystanders just going into the Capitol
Well,
building.
that's what I was thinking. Like, let's say you weren't part of the riot, but you like happened to walk by the Capitol and you're like, the door's wide open, people are going in, and you're like, oh, no one's taking
This
tickets. You know,
maybe in this case you actually would, especially like as a bystander, if you see the cops themselves removing the barricade and like waving the whole group in, you're probably just like, yeah, you know,
If
oh
the cops are
maybe
cool with it,
it's
then sure.
Yo, if you could see
exactly.
that from that distance already, you're not a bystander. you're
That's
one of
true
the
as well,
hard
yeah.
chargers.
I thought there was a concert going on or something.
yeah,
it
everyone
is
was
a big
cheering.
event,
There was
right?
flags,
It is a
flags from countries. It's like a Tomorrow, Neverland kind of thing. Tomorrowland.
Well, you definitely would at least go down in history. If you can be like, yeah, I was there. It was fucking shit was lit.
Exactly.
Yeah, real Rosa Parks there.
You'd be like, why are you in jail? Because I went to the Capitol.
You a Trump supporter or something?
but
Would
we
you do
laugh
it for
at this
curly
now.
fries?
But what if like it did get overturned? Like there could be a world where they thought, hey, you know what? Like it looks like we got a lot of people here and they're gonna make this happen. I'm gonna join the winning side at the 11th hour. Smartest move. And
That's
then
true.
What?
But there's no real
Well,
victory here.
You get a
Then-
huge payout. That's the thing.
yeah, they just think, hey, they're like maybe they thought it would have been overturned. And they're gonna be like, we're gonna storm this and Trump is gonna be president and then he'll take control of the army and
He's
then
gonna recognize me.
I'm
because I
gonna
was
yeah
part of it.
recognize me. Yeah, exactly.
How would he know you were there specifically though? Unless you got
That's
like,
why I took the
unless he
selfie.
had a whole list.
You take that selfie for that proof.
Trump's not gonna look at that.
I'll tell you what, though, there are some retired military and police people in the crowd that probably thought exactly that. Where it's like, yeah, we can. This totally can fucking work. We can totally take control and overturn everything.
But
There were
isn't
people that thought that.
isn't that what you need to think when you're trying to like like the Bastille Day kind of thing, that you have to believe that this is gonna work for you to.
Yeah,
to
you
do
do.
this stuff.
You do have to believe that this will work.
Yeah.
Obviously, they believe that they would be able to do something. Most of them that bum rushed in, yeah, they definitely felt that.
Hmm.
You know,
I wouldn't think that they really think it through that much, though. Maybe they're just optimistic
Well,
in
like-
that point of view of
like I
like,
still
hey, if I
said,
do
there
this, then we
were-
get it. If
were
it
different
succeeds, then
levels.
we're all good.
There were different levels of organization, right? Some people seemed like they had a certain goal, and some people were just there to be part of the group.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Some people were just fucking there just to be part of the group, but some of them
People just
actually,
like see the world burn.
some of them went in with like zip ties, totally expecting to actually apprehend members of Congress and shit, right?
Yeah, I guess AOC was intimately in danger, I suppose.
But it is surprising though. Like I think Brian said before, that it's a bit surprising there wasn't more looting.
It's not
'Cause
much
if
to
there was
loot
a lot
there.
of people that didn't think about it, then I think they just
What? I mean, silverware,
the place.
glasses, tables.
Congress and
pictures.
Capitol,
Isn't there like
Capitol Hill.
pictures and stuff?
You think there's a lot of like cutlery and shit to loot from like just even like the fucking Parliament building? There's mostly most of the time
So-
people don't actually just stay there, you know?
My take on that is like people that are looters can't afford a plane ticket to Washington D.C.
Yeah, that's another thing. A lot of these people
Like-
flew in to be in that at that protest. Right? These weren't like Washington
yeah,
natives.
They don't got the luggage space, and they don't want to go through customs. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they were like, "Where did you find this podium, sir?"
Oh, I bought it.
Funny story here. I bought it from that guy on the news.
But I mean, like just small things that weren't nailed down. I would expect those to get taken.
Oh, I definitely probably a lot of pens and staplers were
I
missing from
expected a
that day.
fire though. I thought they would burn the place down.
They probably would have if the fucking reinforcements didn't show up. The National Guard and the police reinforcements did show up. That's how they quelled it down.
But it's not like it was somebody's mansion or something. It's not like there'd be valuable stuff just lying around. It'd be like pens or notepads and
Yeah,
stuff
it
like
is.
that.
Yeah,
I
it's
bet those
computers,
did get
pens,
taken,
notepad.
but they just don't report on it.
Well, like
So,
I said,
are
a
they
lot of
just-
staplers and pens missing from that day. I
I would
guarantee.
definitely take a stapler.
Are they able to charge everyone who's there, or
Anybody that
They're-
set foot in that Capitol building, they're going after them
And
because
thanks to social media, they can pretty much have an awesome chance of getting all of them because those idiots were live streaming while they were in there. And
yeah, they dox themselves.
posting everything too. And they were also mostly anti-maskers as well, so their faces are,
Oh
for-
man, if they all got COVID, that would be so funny.
They were saying that the place the room they took shelter in, some of the
they weren't
House
social
representatives, yeah, some of them got COVID from the safe room because some of the Congress people didn't wear masks, so the other Congress people got tested positive for COVID.
distancing? Wow. Rip.
Well deserved.
So, what's your prediction for this inauguration?
Oh,
coming up?
heavy security presence. Like it's already pretty much going to be that because you saw it's just literally divisions of National Guardsmen and shit, and out of state, other elements from out of state, other polices, so National Guards and standby. Like this is going to be very heavy military / police presence.
Seems like the last few inaugurations have been getting more and more security intensive. From Obama, Trump, now Biden.
Yeah, but that was like
Going
normal
on.
security protocols. This is like Idi Amin levels of security protocol.
Just
So they're-
each time it seems like a bit more and more.
Oh yeah, this one is a
This is
exponential
like
jump.
they're like over prepared. I feel because like, do you think anyone's gonna actually storm the Capitol again?
Well,
from that.
it's literally a show of force this time. Like like this is the state taking off
Oh,
the
is this
velvet
just a
glove.
deterrent kind of thing?
Yeah,
Just
it's
like
this is the state taking off the velvet glove to show you, like like
They mean business.
Yeah, to remind people like why the state exists, like why they're supposed to have the monopoly on violence. They're showing you. This is their fucking puffing up the chest and show you like, yeah, you can't fucking insult us on this day like you did on January 6th.
So like how, like the ceremony, I'm assuming is pretty short. Then like once it's done, do people just go home?
Yeah, there's not even going to be that much of a crowd there that day, I imagine. There's going to be more National Guard, there's going to be more soldiers and cops than there are people in attendance on that day.
Plus,
Yeah, I
you know,
guess
you
the
have
word
social
civilian is not going to
distance.
exist there then.
You know, like, yeah, and plus COVID and everything, like, it's going to be an audience of soldiers.
A military state.
Which is great. That's fucking hilarious. That is fucking hilarious to me.
Yeah, just have a lot of like Secret Service people dressed casually undercover.
Yeah.
That's your crowd.
That's the audience.
Well, no, or why won't they do it the other way? Why don't they just get civilians dressed as militants to show them like, hey, we mean business, but then actually don't mean business?
Because that's more expensive to do.
Plus, how are you going to get civilians to dress up like military people anyways in the first place?
I mean, don't they do that in acting, like in Hollywood? They just
Yeah.
hire people to dress them up to pretend who they aren't.
Yeah, for the casting call for extras and shit. Like,
Yeah, same idea.
why would you? Okay, you don't see this as being a fucking like scandal on the news the next day. Like, oh yeah, this just in. Fucking the White House wanted to cast people
feel
as
like this
army
is the
people.
bait. This is the bait. 'Cause,
Whatever,
you're
man.
gonna concentrate all these soldiers in the capitals for no reason. Because I don't think this riot's gonna happen again. On
Wait.
that day.
You
But
don't
the-
think it's gonna?
Yo, the whole reason is just to fucking flex. This is a flex.
Yeah, I know. But you could flex by a con.
No, because if you con and people find out it's a fucking con, then it's not a flex. They'll be like, yeah, look at these fucking losers trying to
It's
fucking...
flexing with inflatable muscles.
Yeah, you're just wearing a
exactly.
muscle suit. No one will care. You want to show the actual muscles. So this is them showing the actual muscles. So instead of fake soldiers, they get real soldiers with real bullets.
I just feel like not we, but they're just keeping them, or there's gonna be holes in their defense.
This is you just giving a fucking turtleneck take right now. This is what it is.
They're opening themselves to an invasion. That's what I'm saying.
How?
No.
They've gathered like divisions forces in in the nation's capital.
Yeah, they're protecting the king a lot, but I feel like
the
other
flex-
parts.
But the flex wouldn't only be there; it would be like everywhere.
Oh,
would
yeah,
be,
that's
it
the
would
thing.
be on high alert, like from our branches, like of military
Yeah.
everywhere globally. It wouldn't just be like they're just gonna protect Biden at this inauguration. It would be like no, they're gonna make sure like nobody is gonna mess with them that day. That would be a flex.
Well, they're already doing that. Well, stateside, not globally. But stateside, because the FBI said that there was a lot of on inauguration day. There's like a lot of state capitals are expecting like a Trump protest, right? So, most states actually have the National Guard ready for inauguration day at their own capitals. So, they are fucking expecting, they are going to be expecting that shit on inauguration day, not just in Washington.
When is it gonna be?
A couple days from now, I'm not exactly sure which day.
20th, I think. I think it's 20th. But
Yeah,
let's double
20th.
check.
You guys just live stream it then, I guess. That's the best way to watch it.
Oh, it'd be a whole day event, right?
It's gonna be super boring. If the only value you will get from it will just be like someone like me that just watches to laugh at the state of America having a heavy militarized inauguration day.
Pretty much. It's going to be a lot of... The real attack will be on the Twitch chat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people will have if you're a political streamer or whatever, you're gonna have a great stream that day.
Oh, I think they're doing really well for themselves. They have unlimited content. Like, what wasn't the biggest fear for you Zinzin, was that when Trump leaves, that news is gonna be boring.
Yeah, news will be boring.
That's like the biggest finale kind of thing before he goes out.
Well, see, the thing is, like, news will be boring. Like, my whole thing was thinking, yeah, once Biden comes in, it's gonna be like really lukewarm, shitty news, just like Obama era news, right? But like, well, the news won't give you the exciting stuff. It'll just be like observing like the trends in society and all that shit, where you can see like fucking just shit just rotting and collapsing and shit. But the news would be like what did Oprah say to fucking Biden or some shit like that, right? Like, oh, it'll be lukewarm stuff like that. But like I was pleasantly surprised that maybe well, at least for now, you still get some non-lukewarm, very hot news.
So, just to go back a bit, are you proposing that a live stream of the podcast on Inauguration Day?
Well, no, not really. But when is the 20th? Is it Wednesday? I don't care. I don't care. If you guys want to do it, fine. But if we don't, I don't care.
It's gonna be an awkward time, isn't it?
I imagine so, because it's during the day.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll probably be working.
Yeah,
You could officially be getting paid to do the podcast in a weird way.
Not by. Yeah, by people who didn't even notice they are sponsoring it. You're doing what now?
Well, I would hope you wouldn't tell them what you're doing.
Yeah. The Streisand effect. That's what will happen then.
What was that again? What was the Streisand effect?
Oh, it's basically if you didn't mention it, then nobody would have known. But since you've mentioned it, it's blown up and became a big thing. So basically, I think it spawned from, I think some company was taking pictures of like, it was like a GIS company or whatever, right? A surveying thing where they were taking pictures of landscapes, and then Barbara Streisand sued them because she said like, oh, you have a picture of where my house is in one of these, like my big fancy, like big acreage mansion or whatever is in one of these photographs. So she sued them to demand that they take it off. But because she did that and it became big news, prior to suing, like basically maybe the count was
invisible.
it's like 2 or 3 people like went to look at the data or whatever, most likely their clients or whoever. But after the lawsuit, like just blew up. People went to go see where Streisand's house was.
I love those stories. It's like those Chinese proverbs, like when, like Asian parents, when they teach you a lesson, they don't just directly tell you. They want to tell you this proverb of the story that relates to you, like as if you're a character in a story and they have to have a side character to relate to your problem. They're like,
This
oh,
has
thanks, Mom.
never happened to me.
Really? Your parents never tell you, like, oh, it's better teach a fisherman to fish, he can feed forever. Give him a fish he only eats for one day kind of thing? They never
No.
tell you that stuff? It's like another way of
not
telling
at
you
all.
get a job kind of thing.
No, they'll just say get a job. Like, really, that's how it goes.
It's like, shit, Jason, we don't want to pay you anymore. Just get a job.
Yeah, they never paid me. What? Well, they paid for stuff for me to live, so I guess that, in a way.
Yo, Brian,
Yes, sir.
I know you are the biggest alarm raiser for fucking cancel culture, and now the president of the United States was canceled. I think I would guess that you have something to say about this.
Well, I think, well, with Trump getting canceled, I think that was kind of obvious. Though it's kind of silly that a lot of these companies waited until the end of his presidency to cancel him. Like, no one
Why
really
would
had
it
the
be?
balls
I
to
think
cancel
it's
him before.
Yo, I think they played it directly the way they wanted it. Fucking Dorsey loved the fucking traffic Trump was bringing when he was president. Now that he's not president, now is when you cut him loose. Well, let him go.
Well, it's interesting because, people were saying to Dorsey, like, isn't this against a certain amendment? I think it's the first one, right? Freedom of speech or whatever.
Yeah.
But then because they're not government, it's not really against the amendment. because they're a private company, they can censor whoever they want, basically. But because of the size of Twitter, they essentially are like a government entity. So I feel like they kind of are taking liberty on that. So it is interesting that they're allowed to do that, right?
Yeah, man. The world, I think, is changing. The world and a lot of people in power, and even just fucking just everyday Joes like us, they're changing their thoughts on what they perceive, what the internet is like, right? You got like even European leaders now, like Merkel from Germany, Angela Merkel was saying stuff like, "This is not good that Trump got fucking censored off. That she got permaban." And she's not like fucking best friends with him either. She doesn't like the guy, but I think from her perspective on Germany, like literally people are just seeing that, yeah, these American companies, these internet companies are way too have way too much reach, to the point where you can censor the fucking president just based on terms of service, right? So I think people are moving towards a perception of, instead of borders in the internet, like internet sovereignty, instead of thinking World Wide Web, you know, essentially free for everyone. I think they're thinking of a more like, okay, well, maybe a World Wide Web run off the backs of American companies are not exactly what they want when they think about a free and open internet. So, yeah, cyber sovereignty.
So in terms of like free speech, if like it's free speech, but unless your free speech can cause harm, then they can take that away, right? Like you can't yell fire in a crowd of people when there's no fire, because you can potentially cause harm, right? So in some ways, when Twitter is censoring Trump, because they felt like Trump was causing harm with his tweets, with like the example of the storming of the Capitol, in some sense they do have some justification of censoring, but like it's an interesting question whether they should be allowed this power, as you're suggesting. Actually, curious, what do you think, Phil, about censorship?
Yeah, Phil was. I imagine you got a excellent take about this.
It's interesting because usually I think companies should have the right to censorship. Be like Twitter should have the right to stop people from saying whatever they want, and if you're on some platform, you should be restricted, and that's just like the natural way of everything, right? Like you can't go into a church and like read, the Quran, or you can't go into like a temple and like preach the Bible either, right? Like there's always jurisdictions. Twitter being too big though, so I'm all like, usually I'm totally for like freedoms. But when you walk into somebody else's house, you have to follow their rules. I'm big on that too. And I think if you're alone or with your group of friends, you can say whatever you want. You should have that freedom of speech. But it's just too dangerous. I think freedom of speech it can be very dangerous when people use it to incite violence.
Jesus Christ. No, I'm so glad we got this recorded. I never in a million years would have thought you would say that.
No, I get it, because you have to draw the line, right? It's difficult though. I feel that way, but I just don't know where the line is.
2021 is the gift of giving. We finally got you on tape saying this.
We got you.
No, if you had to like, but the thing is, I wouldn't. That's how I feel about it, but I wouldn't.
You wouldn't have done what Dorsey did?
Dorsey? Well, Dorsey did it from a business perspective.
He
right?
would totally support that.
Like,
he just basically said, like, yeah, fucking Twitter should be able to do it.
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
they should be, because that's within their terms, right? But is that and Dorsey's decision has nothing to do with like First Amendment or any of this stuff. He just milked Trump, and then he dumped Trump before Trump was going to do any damage to Twitter. Because
Yeah,
obviously, like at the end
True.
of the term, Trump is going to implode Twitter, right? So you got to cut him off before he can do that.
yeah.
So that was just like a very logical, strategic move, I
It's like
feel.
Trump made us millions. We got to cut him before he costs us millions.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's how I view it completely. And it was just a matter of time before Trump did something like that.
I mean, literally, you could just take the argument and then you could just say, yeah, fucking, that's why the First Amendment itself is worthless or is shit. Like, you can, you take that.
Cut off.
Oh, did I? I mean, like,
What?
you take that argument, you can just say, like, forget just private censorship, like, just fucking censorship in general. That would be the justification for it already. Like,
Do you
you
feel
don't,
like they're just hiding Trump though with this censorship? That's
No.
the thing that I'm curious. It's like I understand one is you want to prevent further violence or you and stuff, but in some way you're trying to hide the fact that there's this person that exists that had this much influence on the world. And
yeah, I think that's what they're kind of doing. They kind of got spooked because of the fucking what happened. And also, remember, the trend is you want to come down hard. Like the societal trend right now in America is you want to come down hard against these people. And also, they're also afraid of their own liabilities in whatever, in allowing this or whatever, right? But the more broader point is fucking like there is there this line between censorship in the private domain or if it's censorship in like whatever government or society, it is an imaginary line. It's artificial. Like censorship, like without that line, censorship at its core, it's just there. Like there are things you're in society is that it's acceptable to say. There's things that aren't acceptable to say. In each society, whatever has their limits on that, and how they come down hard or how they come down to restrict or punish. It's not just limited on like a vulgar a censorship from the government, right? Or it come like from America, how they do it is always through private enterprise and whatnot, like through these platforms, right? Because like they wrote their fucking laws in the country in a way where they obviously will want to dissuade you from saying some stuff, right? Whoever it is, like persons of power or fucking
like
politicians
you're talking about,
themselves.
like TikTok and stuff like that.
TikTok itself is like, yeah, literally that is a censorship move. Okay, on the broad back of it, that is a sense you are censoring, fucking TikTok from whatever, right? You're barring them out, but they do it not the way that China or Russia or whoever, even South Korea, they don't do it that. America doesn't do it in that way, where it's like literally a directive from the government or whatever. It's just through that. It's through
Like China just tells you cannot use Winnie the Pooh to pick our president.
Well, in China, that's like one of those. That is like a self-censorship thing, where it's like they don't want to rock the boat. So, ironically, that one is also done mostly not from like a directive, but it's from people not wanting to fucking rock the boat. They're trying to save their asses. The same way where Dorsey banned Trump or whatever, right? But the point is, there's no such thing as a free speech. There's no such thing as like this definitive line between censorship in the public domain or censorship in the private domain. It's made up.
They sound like Crowder. There's no such thing as free speech. Change my mind.
No, fucking Crowder's an idiot and he's a fucking moron. But like in effect, society always finds a way to deal with these things, right? Like in the UK, they have stuff where it's like you have like almost like a censored list for the press to report on, right? They can put out a censor. I forget what they call it, but it's like some kind of like a media ban on whatever topic, and it'll be say for the sake of national security or whatever, right? They can do that stuff, right? Like countries, people, societies do function in this way, and like this is another thing that got people fucking their minds blew up. Where it's like, how can Twitter do this, right? Well, it's like like you get anything with that much, anything with a lot of power and a lot of say and stuff, this was bound to happen. Eventually, you encroach upon the interests of said entity, they can clamp down hard on you. And the reason why it's so devastating for you, it's because they have such a high reach. Right? So, like, regardless if there is a free speech law or whatever, that's just fucking marketing. It's just to make people feel better about themselves, thinking, hey, I really can say whatever I want. Well, no, in actuality, you don't. You can't say whatever you want. There are some things that will fucking land you in trouble. And that's just how society operates. I mean, like, take all the ideology you want out of it. That's just how society operates.
So,
But
yeah, I guess it's the same as then Parler, because Parler was taken off of Amazon, and they're I forgot what kind of app they are. They're a platform where there's a lot of hate speech going on.
yeah, it's just Twitter, but for like conservatives. It's basically like they won't ban you for anything. You can go on there and say the N-word, they won't ban you.
Oh
Right.
wow!
So
Doesn't
that's
it, like, die so fast after it released.
well. So the interesting thing about there is kind of twofold because why it's not as popular as if you were like a very right wing person that it's meant for you, it's marketed for you. Why it wasn't popular was most people will say it's because if you are like a ultra conservative or a right winger, like the whole reason you go on Twitter is to fucking shit on the libs, right? Is to go and troll people. So if you take that out, if you're just on a bunch of like other people just saying agreeing with whatever, then that kind of takes the piss out of it. Like people are like, oh, okay, this is not fun. I'd rather be on Twitter and fucking troll and own the libs or some shit like that, right? I mean, and then on the other hand,
Wait. So why don't you have the reverse? Why don't you have the libs going onto Parler just trolling the conservatives?
because they just stay on Twitter and they fucking troll the conservatives or whatever.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like I think the most action you get on like the hottest threads you get on Parler posts is when you get like some liberal or whatever that actually goes on there, or even if you get like a conservative just larping as a liberal or whatever, right? God forbid if an actual socialist goes on Parler, yeah, then Parler would have a fucking field day. They would be so erect if they see a post like that.
Do you think
man.
Parler's gonna grow at all?
No, they got banned off.
They got the
Oh,
platform.
they're fully banned now?
Yeah, they're
suing Amazon
pretty much
at this
banned.
point.
Yeah, they got perma banned.
No, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's dead.
Yep. And then there was the big one in Twitch. They banned the PogChamp face. For those who don't know, PogChamp is a face not created, but was memed from a guy named Ryan Gutierrez. He's like a old school fighting game community pioneer, and he went on the deep end and started believing in conspiracy theory, and I think he might be a Trump supporter. I'm not sure, but
they
anyways,
banned his Twitch emote.
they banned his Twitch emote, yeah, because he made a
He
very
did a lot of
insensitive
controversial
tweet.
stuff.
Well, he made a big one during the Capitol, shitting about like something about the women dying and like I think she was a martyr, or he called her a martyr. And anyways, Amazon heard about it and they tried to distance themselves from Ryan, and so in that way they are banning. Oh, they took off PogChamp the emote and they're trying to create a version of it that isn't his resemblance, I guess.
Last I recall, they were like changing the PogChamp emote every day to something
Yeah,
else.
so that created another controversy because the first guy they picked was the guy who also said something very insensitive or racist per se. I think he said white lives don't matter, or white life matter is not a thing. I think what he's trying to say is that it's not a thing in a sense. I think in his words maybe that, or in his meaning, I think it's that white people never had to deal with what black people had to deal with, and therefore it's not a thing in his eyes. I think that's what he's trying to convey. But the way people clipped the video just made it sound like he was a racist. And then now this new PogChamp face, because it's switching between different Twitch streamers, people are like going there to validate, hey, is this guy a good person? Like, Ryan wasn't a good person, so what does this person deserve?
They got a background check everyone they
for fucking fuck. Yeah, this is the after 9/11 overreaction that you got. Like this. Who the fuck cares about PogChamp? honestly.
Well, PogChamp is as like it's very iconic. It's like the Kappa face, or it's like the Pepe the Frog, Monk IS.
I mean, like, if you were like the Twitch people that came to this decision, like, what went through that meeting that you would decide to fucking ban PogChamp?
That's my other thing. I think the people in the meeting, they're all like boomers. I feel like they don't even know what like they don't even know what the word simp means. They're like, why do you want to censor this word?
Yeah, and then you hold a meeting.
Oh.
HR's there.
Now.
Yeah, it's like incel, virgin, simp. We should censor these. And then no one came up with the ideas like, how about the common ban words? How come we don't ban those words? Right? Like the N word and stuff. Why are those banned? But we have to ban simp. It's like really strange.
Just-
Blind playthrough.
especially since like simp isn't necessarily a bad thing all the time. Anyways, it's like
No.
context based.
It's very context based, and people love to use it because it's a very popular word. Like it's the word of today.
It's useful for something like Twitch, where it's like, yeah, you have simps. That's just what they are.
Literally, this is kind of like, this will be kind of like the Biden presidency in a microscope, in a nutshell, as represented by fucking whatever Twitch is doing. It's just like, hey, as long as we can ban these words and then culturally make it inappropriate for this doesn't exist anymore. The problem's gone. Good job, we did it. This is basically it.
But it's exactly what you're saying, Bo. Like just because you ban it doesn't solve the issue. It's just you're just brushing
It's
it off.
aesthetics.
You're just hiding it in the closet. It's like cleaning a room. You're just tossing everything under the bed. Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
looks clean for the guests, but your room's still a mess in a sense.
Isn't it just for them to stay relevant though, and really not anything more than that?
In a way, it is, yes, because obviously, you're not actually doing anything. You're not, you're not even fixing anything. It is just like all those companies that wrote their statements for Black Lives Matter, right? Like they don't give a shit, honestly, right? But they, yeah, like you said, they want to get in on it and say these things. It's for the aesthetics, right? Mostly for the companies, it's like, oh, like we gotta make this image. This is the marketing, the propaganda, right? We gotta be like fucking we're in tune with the fucking culture, with the zeitgeist.
It's kind of like us making a Christmas special. It's just because it's Christmas.
And we
all
didn't.
play it.
Why? Because we don't give a shit. We're literally lazy. I don't have clothes on right now. That's how much I give a shit about it right now.
Well, it's the holidays. We're used to just having it to do nothing, right?
Exactly. And also
Wait.
a reason why we didn't have some bullshit, fucking dumb, pee drinking emergency cast right after anything happens, because literally it's just fucking whatever, right? We don't
Wait, where'd you get pee drinking from? What?
piss drinking.
Is that
I don't know. It
a
just
term?
came up in my. It
okay.
just came out.
I thought it was a thing.
It's an interesting thing for sure.
Because I don't want to do it.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. We didn't want to do it. Like,
Okay.
don't feel compelled to do anything.
This
That's
becomes a popular internet term.
pee drinking.
Yeah,
Do
sure.
it. That would be our legacy for the internet.
Yeah, it'll replace some of these Twitch terms getting banned.
Well, yeah, I feel like if they just left it alone, people stop using it because of it won't be relevant. Like dabbing was a thing back then, like a year ago, right? No one says it anymore.
Yes,
Yeah,
it would have
become
gone.
That's why they gotta
very rare.
ban it and be relevant while they can, right?
Oh,
Yo.
I see.
So before it dies out,
they ban it when people use it. Because if they ban it later, people are like, "What's that word?"
No,
Yeah, they
it's
don't even-
well, you know what? If people were bum rushing the Capitol and they were dabbing, then dabbing would be banned.
Oh man,
That's kind of true.
That would have been awesome if someone was stabbing.
Or doing something else that what's something you would want people to stop doing?
Stop doing?
Yeah. So like dabbing, but it's like someone just wanted an end to it, so they do it at these like raid type things.
Raid
get it
against the
banned.
Capitol.
Yeah, just to get this action banned or something.
Yeah, and then the pros are you would get it banned, if you're successful, and the cons would be you could get shot in the middle of doing it.
So totally worth it. The
It would
pros
be.
outweigh the cons.
Yeah,
Essentially.
yeah. Oh, well, definitely, especially if you were those bum rushers, because you got off pretty easily. Like even the cops were, taking selfies with you, helping you down the stairs and shit. Like, yeah, it was all gain, no pain. Well, very little pain.
Until
Relatively.
afterwards. It depends on if you want to fly.
Well, I like that one reaction. Well, it was this guy got banned. He was on the blacklist. I don't know if it was because he didn't wear a mask or if he took part in the riots. But he was like, "They're calling me a terrorist. They kicked me off the plane. They're gonna do this for all of you." That was great. Like all of this is all just so delicious. It was so good.
Kind of weird to be called a terrorist when you're actually from that country, right? I still think it's
Whatever, man. You can
strange.
be a terrorist in the country. It's not like you gotta be a foreigner to be a terrorist. I think that was one of Hassan's like main points. He wants to drive to you. Like, you don't gotta
Yeah.
look different.
Oh, to be a terrorist in your own country? Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
I
If
mean,
you incite terror, then you're a terrorist, right?
But if you're just a person who took a selfie in the Capitol, how are you inciting terror? Like, you didn't know, you just followed the crowd.
You tried to, in air quotes, overthrow the government. That makes you a terrorist.
Well,
It's
if
the
you're trying
definition
to
of
fit in with a
terrorism.
crowd of terrorists, that kind of makes you a terrorist too, right? Like if people are robbing a bank and you just like kind of
I
blend
feel
in
like
with
it's the word
them,
hippie,
then
man.
you're
You're
also
just
one of
tossing
the.
this word too loosely.
Yeah, well, it
That's what
is a
happens.
label that people, like I said, it was a label. That was the whole thing
Yeah.
we were talking about
It's-
before.
Yeah, like the word communist. Like if you don't like someone, you just call them a communist.
Yeah, anything. Nowadays, on like Twitter and stuff, it'll be what, racist?
Yep, racist, bigot,
Yeah.
Nazi is a big one.
Yeah.
Cancel culture, baby.
Russian bot. That was literally a thing too.
Yeah,
All these
that's
things.
the challenge. When you say the word too much, it loses its original meaning, and then you just
Yeah,
sometimes
that's why
it's
it was
just a
such a
toxic
dumb
image.
thing too. Because it wasn't. It wasn't like fucking flowy at all. But it still became a label for people to say, to label, to append on
Cool
someone.
thing to do now.
Posting is bad for your health.
But yeah, I think it's interesting about the whole censorship, as Phil was saying. Like, if you're in someone's house, then you gotta follow the rules. Like, as you say, like South or China have certain rules, and like US have certain rules, and yeah, you just have to. It's almost like a ban list that you would think they post online, saying like these are things that we allow, these are things we don't allow, and then we update them.
What I like
According-
about this the most is that even if it was just like a year ago, or even especially before Trump became president and whatever, if you were going to talk to the average American that would say this, like what we were talking about right now, like, oh yeah, like you got to follow the rules of whatever in regards to censorship. Well, it's expected that there are some places wherever will censor you. If you were talking to a lot of Americans, or average American before then, it would be fucking like they would deny this to the ends of the earth. They would say, basically, like, nope, that would never happen in America. It's all free speech. Defend it till the day we die. The whole country's built on it. Yada, yada, yada. The only time you can get real free speech is only over there. You can talk about anything, whatever, right? And it's like, now, it's a fucking, it's this fucking tasty experience I get to experience now that Americans themselves are fucking turning on each other to fucking basically say these things. And also, actually the greatest gratification we got was Phil actually saying these things. But like, Phil is our free speech mascot in our group of friends, right? And in 2021 to hear this is like, pigs are flying now. This is great. What a time to be alive.
Totally agree. That was unexpected.
That really.
Yeah.
Well, there are ideals. there are ideals, and free speech is an ideal, but it's yeah, in the real world, this the strongest have the most freedom of speech, right? It's always been that way.
If I was a religious man, would, in my prayers from now on, I would give thanks for all these gifts that I've been given at the start of the year.
You know what's funny? Like, I remember, as a side note, since we're kind of on the topic of Trump, I remember someone saying, like, it's like, oh, if Trump killed someone, he could probably get away with it. And when someone mentioned that, I agreed. But at the same time, I forgot to mention to them that he did kill someone and got away with it. Like, he killed that military leader, right?
Oh yeah, straight up murked that
Solomon?
guy.
Yeah, but he said he could shoot somebody on Fifth Ave and get away with it.
Yes.
I feel like he could too. He
Yes.
could have done that too.
His fans, the MAGA people would fucking, they would. You got people on video saying, "I would die for this president." Totally, they totally would. Some of them, most of them, a
lot
big
of
portion of them.
which is a scary thing. I wouldn't die for him,
Of course.
and I don't value my life that highly.
It's just fucking. It's just so funny. You die. You die for the host of The Apprentice.
Yeah, he totally did that too. I forgot about that.
Oh man. But yeah, fucking.
Hey, so do you guys think it would be important to have free speech? Is that important to you?
I think it's important that I can speak freely to people I trust and that I wouldn't be judged for it. I think it's
Of course.
important in a smaller circle sense. Like I don't think it's important for me that I'm allowed to say anything to the world per se, but to a small group of people, I would want to feel like I could say anything and not be criminalized for it.
Of course. It's on a sliding scale, right? Like you don't want to live in an environment, well, arguably you won't be able to live in an environment where you can't say anything, right? But what people don't realize is on the other end of that extreme, you live in an environment where anybody can say anything, you will get also disaster will also befall people, right? So it's just whatever society you live in, like what you will just by growing up in that society or just living in that society, you'll know what the limits are, right? And just
I think so. I think that's how everyone views free speech, and they view it as there are certain words that, in certain contexts, you're not supposed to say, but that's kind of understood only within your network of people, right? It's kind of like an unspoken rule between each other that hey, we don't say this here or we don't say this to each other.
exactly.
But the line ebbs and flows between everyone and every different group, right?
And through time,
And I
it
think,
could change as well.
The consensus is that everyone does want to speak freely. And it does through time, all the time too, right? But I think most people just agree that like they want the freedom to speak freely without repercussion, but they also want people to speak to them kind of like with respect, right? And not incite violence or speak lies or I feel like it's very universal, but like it's such a complicated matter that people can't agree on paper.
The reason why it's even become some contentious thing is because it's used in like a political and ideological battle. It's used as a tool in that, saying that it's an imaginary divide where you say my side allows this level of fucking free speech, that side doesn't, so therefore I'm better, they're worse, stuff like that.
It's almost like black people can say the N-word because they know it's ironic, but white people can't say it to them, even in song, just like that. Or the people who like protest, they're like, why can't we say the N-word, especially if it's in the song, right?
Yeah, on a toilet level of stuff, yeah, you could. That's probably comparable. Yeah. Like,
No, I think some people really.
I
care.
know there's people
Yeah.
out there that exist are like that are angry that rappers, like black rappers, can say the N word. They're like, why can't I say it? They can say it. If Dr. Dre can say it, why can't I say it?
It
I
seems
know.
like such a
Song,
low
man.
but it seems like such a low level, but it's kind of ridiculous because like hundreds of millions of people, black and white, basically universally agree on that. Like overwhelmingly, they all agree that black people can say it and white people cannot, and they all abide by that code. And it's like it's an unspoken agreement between like all of them. A few like step out of line, but like I don't think it's like not even 5%. It's just crazy that
Yeah, I
that
think you
worked
have to be
out.
like Eminem level to say the N word without any issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even he can't say it, right? So,
That's true. That's true.
but it's okay. But then you get into into circumstances where it's like Fat Joe, which is like I don't know how much of his family line is like more black than the other. He's more like Hispanic, but he says the word freely all the time. No one cares, right? So it's like, anyways, either way, whatever. It's just a thing where it's like, don't try to make sense of it. Like it's not even a fucking big deal. It's just let it happen. Just let it fly. Let it slide, and just go along with it. Like you yourself, like if you're like the whitest guy in the world, yeah, you're not gonna be able to get away with it. Don't get mauling just because like Fat Joe can say it. Like it's just the way it is. Just leave it
Also how you
alone.
look- It's also how you look, right? Because if you look more black than white, then it's probably easier than if you look more white.
Yeah.
Because if like let's say your parents are half black, but you look white as a cracker. It's
Oh
really
yeah,
hard
and then
for
you
to-
say it, and then someone's like, "No, you can't do it." And you say, "Yeah, well,
like,
I got
it's
the
like, I'm black.
I got the papers to
black.
prove it." Yeah, like don't be that guy.
It's like the reverse of Obama. It's like, what? I'm American. I
Yeah,
was
don't
born
be that guy. And to Phil's larger point, like you growing up in a place like this, it would be very apparent, like yeah, that's not even a thing. But I guess if you're from like some other country, if you're like a fucking Korean that came in, it's like curious, why is it like this?
I think it's a really interesting custom that, like as Phil says, an unspoken rule, but seems like everyone knows the rule. It's
Yeah.
almost like the rules of the playground, where there are certain things that it's like in recess. There's these certain rules that people just follow without really knowing why.
It is. Yeah, it
Well,
is a
for
very
language,
society
it's
thing.
something that's like you're raised, and usually your parents or someone tells you like not to say certain words.
Yeah, I don't know about like swear words. I heard different ways. Like some, because like the issue is that if you draw attention to a swear word, it just enforces the kids to say it more, right? Right.
Yeah, and
so
then-
like the best way is to ignore it. Like you just make it like it has no effect. So
Yo,
that
and then when
they
the
don't know
kids-
it's a special word.
When the kids grow up, they'll just swear anyways. It's not a big deal anymore. But
exactly.
when they grow up, it's still like a taboo to start yelling racial slurs, right? So swears, there are, like different levels.
Yeah, I think swear words it's different. Like depending on the context, obviously. If you're just saying it because of frustration or pain, then I think that in that context is okay.
And,
but like,
where
I guess,
who you're
racial
with.
Racial slurs are probably usually never okay in many contexts. So it's like, but that's another thing I think. We were talking about like in school, we were reading books that schools always really old books that school provides, like How to Kill a Mockingbird, and they have the N word. And there's talks about like whether they should purchase the ones with the
Yeah.
censored word.
The
or
recent
just
one.
Leave it.
It is the overreaction in recent times for that, right? Too.
Mhm.
Like. Oh,
And I feel like it makes sense to just leave it because it shows people like what the times were and how things are different compared to today. But that's the thing with PogChamp. I wonder like will
One
they,
day-
like, start censoring
one
Twitch
day,
chat?
PogChamp will be rehabilitated and you can use it again
Yeah.
when it all
Like,
dies
becomes
down.
like a saint. and he's like, oh shit, this guy is actually a good person.
Wrongly persecuted. No, he'll be the same guy, whatever. If he's a piece of shit, he's a piece of shit. But the PogChamp as the emote is it's much bigger than him anyway. It's gonna.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like Pepe the Frog, right? Like the creator of Pepe the Frog, he had no intention
Yeah.
to become so memeable,
Yeah.
and it is like it's part of the internet culture now.
Yeah.
Everyone uses it, and like the Doge, like that dog,
Yeah.
that thing didn't even know if it's gonna be internet famous.
Those are the best memes, you know, the ones that aren't intended to be.
Yeah. Would you want to be a meme, or not want to be? What if you got meme famous?
Dude, just the way everything in the public is going, if you can stay away from the public eye, that is preferable. Because I feel like
Yeah, I would
anything
agree.
going out and getting popular, you're always gonna get fucked right now.
Really, you don't think you could get some
No, like
Probably.
as long as it doesn't identify you as a person, you can. Whatever.
like Bad Luck Ryan or like
Yeah, but if you, well, like you
come back
yourself
to you.
become the meme, like PogChamp, and then controversy arises, like it's going to find you. I feel like right now.
I guess it's a gamble because I feel like in some ways it's like say like Tom Hanks recognized you because he's like, oh, I know this meme and you're the guy, and
Yeah.
then you might get recognized by someone famous.
I'll tell you what
But
though.
this-
I'll give like an estimation. I'll give a prediction. It's probably not going to amount to much, but it is something that I observe. But when the society feels like it's under threat, that's the time when it's going to clamp up. It's going to turtle up even more, and it's going to be paranoid and stuff. So one of these days, as we know, if the American society is on its way towards calamity, on this slow, steady, sometimes accelerated pace, you're going to get a lot more of this stuff where it's not going to be silly fucking Twitch emote censorship, but the more a country, it doesn't just have to be the U.S., starts to feel threatened and goes into shit, the more it's going to fucking outlaw and censor and blanket ban a bunch of stuff to the point
It's just
where
like
it could look like North Korea, right? And maybe then we'll see if PogChamp will get any chance of rehabilitation or not.
it sounded like before you were talking about there is a solution to this, right? Like when your country is feeling threatened or the people are divided. That
Organization, yes. Like, well, it's not really a solution, but what will happen? What will happen is, yeah, there will be a reaction to all of this. But if you want to steer it towards something that will be something that turns out well, you need to organize along the lines of a material consciousness, and so if it comes to a point where it all goes to shit, and there is going to be an uprising clamoring for something new, the thing that you want to clamor for will be something that is like materially good, like saying like something that you can point to saying this is quantifiably good for society and people's lives, and it will improve all of our livelihoods if we can make this change through this fucking uprising or whatever, right? If it got to that point, that will be your best case scenario, right? Worst case scenario is you let the paranoia, you just give in to the comfort that a security state affords you in avoiding the messiness and chaosness of change, right? At that point, like, yeah, the worst case scenario is it all goes to shit. It all either turns Mad Max, or control is only maintained through extreme violence. So, yeah, there is a good case scenario, and there is also a bad case scenario, and everything in between. But it's unavoidable that they are, when I say they, in America, at least in our lifetimes, I feel, will be reaching that point. And then everything after, maybe so as well. But maybe that will be after our lifetimes.
Okay. Well, I have nothing to say after that.
Did I satisfy you with that?
It just sounds like you don't know.
It sounds like I don't know.
Like,
There's no
you're just
solution.
you're just listing all the possibilities. Which,
Okay.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, because there's nothing that will kind of fix this. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna go back to the way it was.
Yeah. You change things forever.
Yes, it will
As
be.
the Joker would say.
Yes, it will be changed forever. It's just how you're gonna direct that change.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else anyone wants to talk about before we wrap up?
Listen to your guys' last podcast. It was very good, actually. I really liked what you guys talked about with IP when I was not there.
Oh my god. Yeah, oh yeah, didn't you want us to talk about that? Well,
I did, and then when I listened to that, I was like, "Wow, you guys are like way more prepared than I was." I was like, so I just enjoyed listening to your guys' thoughts on it, and how nonsense it really is, the whole system.
2021, the year of giving.
The year of giving. Yep.
All right. Well, if no one's got anything else, then we can put this in the books as another episode.
Yes. Yes, we can. Unless Hassan
Alright.
wanted to plug anything.
Oh god, no. No.
You're releasing a book soon, right?
And a rap album.
A book
With
and a rap album.
A lot of swear words that he can't say in conversation,
think-
but he can say in a song.
I don't think anyone wants to hear.
That's wrong. I would want to hear.
To rap.
I would too.
Yeah, I wouldn't. The book might be likely. Not like the book is more likely to happen than a rap. It's what I
We're
wanna
all
say.
looking
Not-
forward to it.
Not that I'm writing a book or anything, but
Oh yeah. We don't want to tip that off, right?
no, seriously, no book, nothing. I got
Alright.
nothing.
You heard it here first, folks. He's not writing a book.
Exactly.
We've
All
put
right,
the rest,
other
all
than
those rumors we just started maybe like 20 seconds ago.
Oh man, so many fans just lost hope.
You find
But
as you
alright.
get older, you get easier, dizzy easier. Like you can't spin as much, and doing things like somersaults make you dizzy.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
I haven't
Yeah,
even
me too.
tried to do a somersault anytime recently.
Yes.
You should try. It disorients you.
It's only gonna
As
get
a kid,
worse.
it wasn't bad.
It's only gonna get worse. Once you're like 80 or something, you do a somersault, you could fucking die.
Break your neck.
You just have vertigo forever. You're like, ah, shit.
Your peak as the somersault master was when you're like fucking 3 or something. That was it. Everything after that is all
When I was a
downhill.
kid, I could somersault without any effects. But now I do one, I'm like, I see the world spinning. I'm
Yeah,
like, holy
your
shit.
organs start dying off after every
Man.
somersault.
Being old.
I messed up my shoulder shoveling the snow we had a couple of weeks back.
Jesus.
So I don't think I'd ever try somersaulting.
Well, like just do it in your bed, like you know, like 'cause you haven't done it in a long time. You think about it, and you're like, oh, I could totally do this. You do it, and you're like, fuck.
I laugh because
My
I just
room is
imagine
spinning.
his son doing somersaults on his bed. It's brilliant.
I don't know, just an experiment. It's just like when you realize you're old, you're like, oh man, the world spins when you somersault.
Hassan, if you do it, take a
Okay.
video so I can watch.
Yeah, since I'm not writing a book, maybe I'll have time to somersault.
You
Yeah,
heard
so
it here first, folks.
I don't know. I feel like I'm weak. I just like I can't somersault without being disoriented.
Imagine going into one of those fucking the carnival ride where you spin really fast. Imagine
Uh-huh.
just fucking doing that now. Might just die. Just die in the seat.
Yeah, as a kid, you're like, oh yeah, this is so fun. And you're just like, this is just nauseating.
When I went to
Why do
Disneyland, I was still okay on rides.
Yeah, that's because you're still a
But I
child
can
physically.
Well, no, I could still imagine like spinning or something like that, I would get dizzy a lot faster than when I was a kid.
Your growth stopped when you were like 13, so have the body of a 13-year-old. You can take all of this.
I would completely disagree because I am in horrible
I
shape.
find it weird that since you've been paying that much attention to Jason's body, to be able
That's
to
not a surprise at all to
categorize-
me.
categorize it as a 13-year-old's body.
Just an estimation.
Okay.
Jason's right though. He does have like a fucking 30-year-old's body now. We're all putting on the pounds.
I got skinny fat and it's all gross and weak. I'm
Well,
not flexible whatsoever, and it's just all bad.
I just find that this year the snow removal was pitiful in our city with like record number of snow, and they barely shoveled anything. Hard rooming stuck everywhere.
Were
It was
you
so annoying.
Were you one of those people that actually complained to fucking City Hall that the snow removal wasn't good?
No, I didn't complain. I just complained beneath my breath because I felt like they should have done a snow ban. That's the biggest thing.
They couldn't. They couldn't. Well, the reason they gave was because of COVID.
COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
People need to park somewhere, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
I feel like they just didn't want to spend the money to pay people, double to work on the holiday.
And also
clear the snow.
because the whole thing is a hoax, so there's no. They should have had a snow ban because COVID doesn't exist.
Well,
Yeah,
plus
exactly.
side is Brian didn't complain about it, so it's all good.
Not officially. I just complained to my small circle.
He just sent in a letter to the mayor with cutout lettering from the newspapers giving vague threats about starting cars and all that stuff.
And said it on a podcast.
You've
that
seen what
goes out
happened to the
globally.
Capitol. I can do it.
That's why they stormed the. Never mind. I'm not gonna say anything that would incriminate anyone here.
Next thing we know, it's like, where's Brian? I can't get a hold of him. Can get been renditioned by the CIA to like Egypt or something to get waterboarded. Give me names.
And like Joe Biden's inauguration is undefended because they're all after me now. And it's like, oh shit, we got the wrong guy. He's just a troll on the internet.
The money.
Fooled by his gamer tag.
Okay, thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
We're getting censored by Jason.
Cancel culture.
Cancelled now.
All right. Yes, time to cancel ourselves in our own episode. Hope you enjoyed it. New Year's episode that came out.
2021. Look forward to more quality stuff like this.
We are reaching a wider audience now, so.
How do you? Oh, they're not all like plus 18 because they thought that our main subject was porn.
that
That'd be
was
great for our,
that was pure
for our
clickbait.
podcast. Yeah, talk more about porn. Everyone watches that.
And they're like, what? There's nothing mentioned about this stuff. Check it out.
Why would anyone listen to a podcast about all guys talking about porn when they could just watch porn?
You'd be surprised. Some people just get off on that.
On the discussion about it.
The ASMR audio porn instead of visual.
This isn't even
ASMR's
ASMR.
not a thing anymore, right? Or it's still
It
a thing,
is.
but it's not as wide as it used to be. Or as,
Well, it's not as big just because it's not as new.
okay.
Yeah,
it's not as big as like Among Us.
you never. There's audio
But I
porn
feel
out
like
there.
Twitch canceled it 6 months ago, it would have taken off on another site.
Cancelled ASMR.
Yeah. If it was just like, out of nowhere, we canceled this for no apparent reason, it would have blown up again. Right before the dip. Because now it's kind of like, no one cares about it anymore.
Yeah, that's what I think.
All right. Well,
Anyway,
thanks, guys. I gotta hop off now.
All right, see you, Jason.
see you guys.
All right.
See ya.
All right, see you, Phil.
See ya.